Dallas
You got to go
Cowboys.
down. I got on
Just
lace
to let
out
them know, I
just to
don't
let
have a
them know.
T-shirt yet.
You don't have a T-shirt
Hopefully
yet.
this year. Hopefully this year I'll get a T-shirt.
I know, right? Well, listen, we are live right now, and guys, hi. You guys have to forgive me. I am traveling right now, and I had stopped so that I can, because I had to do this podcast tonight because I got one of my favorite people on tonight. And so, for those of y'all that don't know me, I am Coach Terry Bryant. I am a football coach out of Lexington, Kentucky. I started Hits and Heels to give a platform to women that coach football and for women's tackle football. But I also am on the board of the Lexington African American Sports Hall of Fame here, and we have a new gala coming. Our third gala is getting ready to come up, and today is going to start off um, a series of guests that are going to be inducted in our next Hall of Fame this September. And of course, I had to have Rod Smith on first. And so he's my man. We've had various conversations over maybe over the year or two or whatever, about the Lexington African American Sports Hall of Fame. But little did he know, um, I called him one night and I asked him if he would accept his nomination into the Hall of Fame. So here we are. Rob, how are you, baby?
I'm great. How are you doing tonight? This evening.
I am I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So tell us, give us some more background information. You were a prodigy athlete. Um, and so tell us all about you and then lead us up to when I gave you a call about this nomination about into the Lexington African American Sports Hall of Fame.
Oh well, I'm from Lexington, obviously. I started sports at a very young age. Growing up in the East End, we there's a lot of kids out there in that community that all we had was sports, and we gravitated towards that. And for a lot of us, it gave us opportunity to get away from our surroundings and our backgrounds, and to become athletes. We had to compete against a lot of kids, and by doing that, we honed in on our skills, and as kids, we competed a lot against each other up there, and we grew to be very talented athletes coming out of East End. It was a lot of us, and a lot of us prospered in it and went on to do bigger and better things. But it started about 8, 9 years old, and I played various sports: football, basketball, baseball, track. Even tried a little soccer. So it started back in East End around the early '80s. We getting a little old, so I'm telling my age right now. So, but it was good times growing up back then in that area.
Okay, so obviously you took to baseball. So how did I know in this day and age it's very difficult to get black boys to play baseball.
Right.
So how did you get into baseball and what made that be your sport of choice to take you to the next level?
Well, I have a lot of close friends, and one of them by the name of Ozan Mitchell. You probably know him.
I
He's
do
one of
know
my great
Ozone.
friends. Yeah, he's a great friend of mine, and I hate saying it because this guy he's so arrogant, but he always says he has a lot to do with my success. And but Ozone introduced me to baseball, like league baseball, competition baseball, at around 8 years old because we used to play in the fields and stuff at home. And but he introduced me to the leagues, and about 8 or 9 years old, I started playing baseball up at Central Little League Castlewood. If you're familiar with the area,
I
it
am.
was a very prominent, yeah, it was a very prominent league, and we started up there. We used to walk from our houses up to our games and practices when we were like 8 years old, and that was my first introduction. Well, my introduction to baseball.
Okay. And so obviously you excelled but you were a four sport athlete. So how
Yes, ma'am.
did baseball end up being the one? Because if I'm not correct, even now to this day, baseball doesn't give a full rise. But you were good enough to get drafted right out of high school. Is that correct?
That's correct. I was going to go play college baseball, but my situation and circumstances dictated, that I would go ahead and turn pro and do that type of thing. But when I found out, when I really noticed when that we were pretty good at it, that I was pretty good at it, I was about 11, and I was selected to a higher All Star team. So I started taking a little bit more serious. And when I got to middle school, like 13, 14, a guy by the name of Steve Chandler that I know very well.
Very
Uh,
well.
yes, he used to come and watch all the little kids play baseball in the community. Something that these coaches nowadays don't do. They don't come out and watch the
Gotcha.
kids as they were young when they were younger. So they try to catch up with these kids when they get a little older, like 16, 17, and it's really too late.
Hmm.
But he came and saw me when I was a young kid. Him and a guy by the name of Tim Edwards, a really good friend of mine. I give him a shout out. He was a very good man. He's a very good man to me. And when I was like 13 or 14, they took a liking to me, and I was able to play high school baseball in the 8th grade. Back then, that wasn't heard of, but now you see kids playing right
Yeah,
now in the
seventh and
seventh
eighth grade.
grade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's only
but back
because
then,
there's no middle school league here.
right? But back then, it wasn't really that big. So I was leaving. I was in middle school and I was going up to play high school baseball, and I won a state championship or two at Lafayette baseball. So I played high school football and basketball, and I was also going to go to UK not only as a baseball player, but I was going to get to play football. That was back in the early '90s too, and you see it happening, a little bit now, but back then I was a cornerback and a tailback at Lafayette, and I played. I was pretty decent. So CM Newton, who was the athletic director back then at UK, he was going to allow me to play football also. So I signed a scholarship to play at UK just because he was going to allow me to do that. So, but when I was in high school, I became uh, a All American at the time, and the scouts and the organizations up in the MLB, they were highly interested. So, my life didn't take me to the point to where I could go play baseball in college. It just led me right into professional baseball. So that's how that happened.
I mean, that takes a level of talent to skip over amateur or to skip over college and then to go straight pro. I mean, it's still, even to this day, that's something that's very unheard of. Because
Right.
there's like a
Um,
million rounds in the MLB, a million of them,
yeah. Yeah.
and
But back then, I was uh, I was pretty decent. So
you got to be
I
more than
yeah,
stop being
I'm a
modest.
humble
You
guy.
got to be.
I'm a
I
humble
love
guy,
your
but
humbleness. Yeah, I love your
yeah,
humbleness, but you definitely got to be more than decent to get drafted to play in the MLB, especially from the Yankees. Because back then the Yankees was the stuff, and today they're still one of the top baseball teams in all of MLB. They're like the Dallas Cowboys of the NFL, right? And so
exactly.
to get drafted by the New York Yankees is more than just chump change. That's definitely, you had some skills.
Yes,
Um,
I did. I
so
did, but I had a situation where I was in. I didn't come up in the best situations in life. So those type of things, when they come in, and when they come in, you have an opportunity to fulfill one of your dreams, which that was one of my dreams when I was growing up. I wanted to play baseball, but I actually thought I was a better football player. So I was a little. I was being swayed a little bit to go either way, but
okay,
the Yankees are.
the
It was a
Yankees,
big deal. It was a big deal. It was something I couldn't pass up.
you could.
My
Oh,
mom
there's no
allowed
way.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no way you could have talked.
my mom allowed me to make the decision on my own, and with some guidance and some help from some people, some very dear friends, and some people and mentors.
Hmm.
I chose that route, and I was comfortable with it at the time because I grew up. I guess I was mature enough to handle it,
Right.
and I have no regrets about going and doing that either. But because I met a lot of people, did a lot of things, been a lot of places, and that was a very, very good experience for me, and it helped me out in life a lot too. So that was
Gotcha.
awesome.
So Jamira, she is the co-host of, oh, well, the host of the NIL spot. She has her own
I see
podcast as
that.
well. She says, how do we change the mindset of baseball's culture to African American males? Because I know we addressed this in a group the other day on Facebook. I think Coach Tyrone Johnson, I think might have been the one to ask that, because the Kentucky just made it to you know, the College World Series, and he noticed the lack of diversity on Kentucky's team. And so this kind of came up. And so how do we change that mindset of the baseball culture to African American males? Because the obvious is that they think it's boring, but it's very expensive to play. Because I know our son played and it was expensive.
Well, you just touched on both of them. It's cost a lot, and it's pushing a lot of our players out because they simply can't afford it. And believe it or not, you would think that being a black child playing baseball right now, that race and color would not matter, but there's a lot of kids out there that get pushed away because they're better than some of these other athletes, and they don't get the chance to play simply because you think we would have evolved by now as people. But I'm sorry to say that's still prevalent. And a lot of these kids are out there and they're better than some of these other kids, and they're not getting a chance. Along with the money part of it,
Mm-hmm.
it's difficult. You have to have resources to play this game, and because it's moved on to the AAU circuit, and it costs to do that. So, and on top of it being a little bit more slower than football and basketball, board. And when I say our kids, you know exactly
Yes.
what I'm saying. Uh,
Yes.
it's not as exciting, and that's
Right.
why some of the kids also. You have to love the game. Really have to love the game to be out there for 3 hours in the sun in the heat, and and the
And
travel.
and and you might be in right field and the ball might ever get hit to you the whole game.
You're right, right. You have to concentrate throughout the whole game, and well, you have to concentrate in all sports throughout the whole game. But baseball,
Yes.
it really matters a
Is a
lot because,
mindset.
yeah, like you said, if you're not in the game at one time, that ball will find you, and you have to be ready. But it's not as fast, it's not as exciting, and most of our kids love basketball and football.
And and,
It's been
and
that
I agree.
way. It's been that way forever.
And then basketball and football also depending on if you're on the FBS Power 5 level or the D1 level, it offers a full ride, as opposed to baseball. Even on the D1 level, is not necessarily a full ride unless you're throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Well, if you're good
Even then,
enough, the money will find you in college sports. So
yeah, especially
you have to stay
now that we
focused.
got the NIL. Now that we have the NIL, it does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
So sounds like you had some cousins. Your cousins Fred and Vi Smith were baseball players. Did you influence? Did you influence them?
Let me tell you, those two cats right there, they were really good. They were really good, and I'm pretty sure I had a little bit of influence on it because but they tried to beat me too. So let's not get that twisted either. They tried to beat me, and I wouldn't allow that. But by me being as hard as I was on them, and the influence I had, they became great athletes and great baseball players. And who I didn't see who that was, but yeah, he knows me,
Mr.
and he
Brown.
knows
Yeah,
my
Mr.
family.
Mr. Alvin Brown.
Alvin Brown, what's up? How you doing? And yeah, they were great, and I did influence them a little bit. Yeah, I wish I had got to play with them instead of against them, but I have two brothers also, so we had to team up like that. And back then we couldn't do cousins on the same team. We could only do brothers, so they all had to play on different teams because Fred has a younger brother also who played. His name is Darius Semo. Probably know him better by the name of Semo. He played baseball also. But yeah, I did play against him, and I had a little bit of influence with those guys, and they are great athletes.
Okay, so
Fred,
what is
hold on, I'm sorry. Fred actually played professional baseball. He played with Toronto Blue Jays. He played for about 2 or 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
He's from Lexington?
Yes. See
Wow.
that?
So
See,
see,
this
that's
is
the
where we're going to
problem.
get into this
We're not
problem.
getting ready, we're not getting ready to talk about it. We're not getting ready to go there today because I know you and I have had numerous conversations where you've name dropped so many players that play on the professional level here, and I've never heard of them. And during our process, their name didn't come up. So, um,
You
when
said
you
you
hit,
weren't going to set me up. You
I'm not
said
gonna
you weren't
set
going to set.
you up. I'm not
You
gonna
said
set you up. I promise you, we are not getting ready to go there. Okay, so I'm gonna go to this
yeah,
next question because one
right.
of my players, that plays for me on my women's team, she said that she played softball in high school. She said she was left field, not got any burn, but she still loved the game. And she did say that travel ball is expensive for all sports. It is expensive for all sports, especially whether it's basketball or volleyball or anything like that with all the traveling and stuff. I just did an interview where I was talking about our schedule, and people were like, "Well, what is one of the things of you didn't like about your schedule?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "We didn't take a vacation in probably 10 years together because every summer we was on somebody's baseball field almost every weekend." And so a vacation for me was a staycation because we were always just on a go. And so I had to have a vacation from the vacation because of all the traveling, the hotels, the eating out, just all the other expenses that are involved with travel sports. Is something else. But no, I'm not gonna set you up. We're not getting I'm gonna try my best that we are not getting ready to go there and
Listen, listen, listen,
talk about that.
listen. You don't have to, but I let's yeah, okay, let's I want to, but I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that for the next episode or something when you invite me
Okay.
back. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you played 8 years, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Or longer?
Yes.
Was it longer or shorter? Okay, so about eight
It
years
was
in the
it was about 8.
about 8 years that you had the opportunity to live out and live your dream, which is unheard of because we know I know like in football and a lot of them it's like it's like a 3 year, and I think that that's kind of across the board on most sports. So to be able to go 8 years in and living your dream has got to be has had to be a great experience for you. So tell me, um when I called you, what was that like?
Mm. Well, I was sitting here and we always see each other in person, and
We do.
you called me, and I forgot how you had my number, but I knew you did. But we have mutual friends and stuff like that. So when I got it, I wasn't really ready. I wasn't ready. So I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I was expecting anything because I had been okay. Let me back that up because I was gonna say something that I shouldn't. But when I got the call, um, I was excited. I was it was humbling, and I almost cried because my my grandmother, God rest her soul, passed away a couple months ago, and we had been talking about this, and I knew in a way that it was going to be bittersweet because she didn't have much time, and I was thinking, damn it, I wish I had got in a year. And this was in real time. I was thinking I should have got
Yeah.
in a year earlier for she could see that, and I really that I was very touched by by that part of it because I really wanted her to see that, and but I got to tell her, and all I could think about was at that point was my grandmother wasn't going to get to see it, so it was bittersweet. But I'm a happy, blessed, humble man, and I'm glad I got that call.
Well, I'm glad that you accepted it.
Yeah, and I'm glad, and I'm really happy that you did that. Somebody ran up on me and said,
Yeah,
"Man,
there
I
was
was going to
somebody else
call
that
you, but
wanted to call
somebody
you.
got to it before me, and I had already, and we had obviously we knew what happened, but
Right.
he didn't know that we were as close as we are. So
Hmm.
I'm glad you did call me. I'm glad you were the person that called me. I'm glad your
Oh,
husband didn't call me. I'm glad your husband didn't call me because he would have made a joke out of it. He would have made a joke. Yeah, because we
He
know
was,
each other real well and we joke with each other a
yeah,
lot. So yeah, I was
right.
honored. I was honored, and I'm very thankful about that. For that,
Okay, good. So you have attended our first. You attended our first two. You attended both,
yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. So you were able to witness it. So what were your um just your initial, even though you didn't get nominated and you probably felt like you should have, what was it like still just experiencing the gala?
First of all, I was there, and I was there for a reason, and his name is Steve Chandler, and
He was at
that
our
was my high
first one.
school baseball. Yes, he was nominated. He should have been one of the 3 or 4 people that been should have been unanimous. And look, once again, I
I think
won't go through that.
he was unanimous.
Yeah, okay, good. But I
He
was
was
there
he
for
was
him, and he's one of my he's my biggest mentor. And
okay, because he's Cisco's biggest mentor as well. My
yeah,
husband's
me and
biggest
Cisco
mentor.
go back. Yeah, we go back a long time. We go back a long time. This is early '90s or late '80s. We go back that far, in the 1900s, as I say. And I was there for that. But I did not think that I should have been there the first night. No, I didn't, because
Okay, okay,
do
gotcha. Okay,
I do
gotcha.
know the history of Lexington, Kentucky. I do know the athletes that have been through here, and I am humbly saying I did not believe I should have been there the first time.
In
No,
person. Okay, gotcha. Because that first
no.
one was
So
definitely amazing.
yes, I really enjoyed myself. I really enjoyed the way our people came together. I really enjoyed, and I really loved how it that because it was classic. It was it was amazing. It was
It was
amazing
amazing.
how the turnout and the whole thing went. It was simply amazing. I that night I always thought, I was like, yep, when I get here I'm gonna show out, because this is our people. This is our people. This is for us, and it was long overdue. And Mr. and Mrs. Jones, if you're listening, if you can hear this, you all are doing a wonderful, one hell of a job with this. And I've come to know them in like the last 2 months. And Miss Jones is a fabulous woman, and she's very helpful in
Absolutely.
everything she do with that. And I wanted to give her props on that, because she's helped me through this process, and I want to thank her personally when I see her, whenever I see her, because she's doing her thing, and this is a big deal. This is really a big deal.
It really is. When I tell people all the time, when we got the call to ask us if we wanted to just be a part of the planning process. And so we were there, like, when they were like, we're thinking about doing this and we're putting a team together. And then we all came together on, I think, on our very first Zoom, and was like, okay, we want to create a Hall of Fame. What is it going to look like? Where do we start? I mean, it literally started from that. And
Right.
so when I first walked into the door at the very first gala, I was just blown away. It was so emotional because I just know the 2 years up to that time, it was very emotional because
No.
we were there like when
Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
hold on, can you hear me now? Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
yep.
um
Gotcha.
the 2 years up to that time, it was just a lot of planning, and it was very, very emotional, and it was very a lot of work, and people just have no idea because you have no blueprint in order to go by. You don't,
Right.
there was no manual, there was no, I mean, we literally was like, how do we do this?
Right.
And to see it come into fruition the way that it did on that very first one. The second one was great too, don't get me wrong. Last year's was amazing too, and this year is going to be amazing as well. But that first one, just, it was just very emotional, just how classy it was, just how everything just came into fruition. I mean, we had no idea what it was going to look like. I know we had a vision of what we wanted it to look like, and then but to see it actually to happen the way that it did, and to see all the people that, I mean, we sold out of tickets on that first one.
Yeah.
Like, we had to turn people away. There were people showing up at the door wanting to get tickets, and we couldn't let them in because there were no seats available. And I think that right there was just a testament of Lexington. The fact that, like you said, that it was something that was needed, that was long overdue. And yeah, and I'm just so thankful for Bobby and Jennifer Jones and their vision, and allowing us to be a part of that. It's just unbelievable. So what are is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to at your induction?
It's a great question. Looking forward to. Um,
Oh, I can't hear you. Hold on. I don't know why I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear you. Go ahead and talk, because maybe everybody else can hear you, but I can't hear you.
Well, what I'm looking forward to, I'm happy that a lot of my family can be there. I'm I've got 3 tables already, and I'm trying to get some more. I'm interested in how my family's going to react to that because it's a black tie affair, and I
We
just
can hear
hope
you,
they
but
have a
okay,
great
thanks.
time. Can you hear me?
Hold on, baby, because I can't hear. I think it's the phone. Because my. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Say something.
I hear you.
I
I hear
can't
you.
hear you. Why am I not hearing
Is this something on our end? It shouldn't be anything on our
you?
end, should it?
So what I'm gonna do is I can't hear you. So I'm gonna go ahead and Mr. Brown has a question. Oh, first of all, I'm gonna let Jennifer say. She said, "We are honored you accepted our induction. It has been a pleasure. I'll walk through this process with you." And so I know that. So but I can't wait until you get a chance to see her in person and be
Yeah.
able to do that. And then Mr. Brown has another question. He said, "We see blacks not interested in baseball. Seemingly, the MLB has been populated with good Latinos players. Are these
Yeah.
players more dedicated to be successful in the league as opposed to they are more dedicated?
Yes.
Why?
Like
Because
it's not even
of
close.
where
It's
they
not even
come from?
the. It's more like they're trying. They're trying
You're
to
saying that she said they
they're
have more
trying to populate.
resources. Is that true?
They have me no more resources. No, I
Oh, this
I
was a good one.
understand what he's saying.
Okay.
They like I I have a story. I'm hoping everybody can hear me when I say this. When I got to when I was playing, I got to see the lack of resources for Latino players across seas. I've seen pictures and I've seen kids from overseas play with milk cartons on their hands. I've seen people come over there that were they didn't they didn't have shoes when they first got to the states to play baseball and stuff like that. They were given shoes and stuff to play for. So the dedication is by far more on their part, and they do it like for a lack of survival uh, to get away from their surroundings and their environments. So they work a lot harder at this sport than we ever imagined.
So, did you touch on what about the MLB finally recognized the Negro League stats in the record books?
Hmm. That's you're talking about long
So what
overdue,
is
man.
the
That's
Mr. Brown? What is the gentleman's name that is now the leading? He's now the leading. It's a black guy that's now the leading. batter that came from the Negro
Josh
Leagues because
Gibson,
they
I
just
believe.
they just put that over him.
Josh Gibson, probably the best hitter to probably ever play. Yeah, I don't know, y'all. I
Be
really
fierce.
can't.
Can you still hear me?
Can you hear? Can you
Because
hear me?
I can't hear it all. I have
Okay.
all of my volumes and everything turned up. I don't know why I
I
lost
hope he can. I hope he can hear me.
why
And
I lost.
if they weren't so nasty back in the
Hold
day,
on one second. I don't know why I lost sound.
can you hear me?
There it is. There it is. I got it. I got it back.
Can you hear
Okay,
me?
so yeah, I can hear you now. So
Yeah.
now who was the guy that just got he's now the leading um is it home base person? I mean home run person? Home
Josh
run
Gibson.
person? Josh
Josh
Gibson.
Gibson.
Yes.
But
He's
we can
now
go. There's so many players that we should recognize, and we don't have the time for that. But like Satchel Paige and all these guys, let me tell you, when they were playing, they were hands down better than all these athletes, and there wouldn't be record books if they were allowed to compete back in the day.
mm,
It's not even fair, and it's hard for me to speak on that because of the time we lost and
right,
the opportunities that they lost and to better their families and stuff like that. It was because back when they were playing, they weren't making any money and they were
right.
just doing it for the love of the game. And there's a reason why they didn't let these guys play.
Oh, of course.
That it was. It's not a it's honestly it's a travesty because you would want to see that type of athleticism and skill coming from people and better the game, and they weren't allowed to do that. And I have a couple of pictures where we played baseball games in Negro uniforms and stuff, and I have those, and I want to put those on display
Oh,
because
make sure
we
you
were
put yeah. Oh, yes.
yeah we and like I said, I was in the '90s, early 2000s when I was playing, so it was evolving, and they were starting to let a lot more blacks, mostly Latinos, but they were allowing blacks to play the game on a regular. But and you can see the change in the game happening right in front of you because the athleticism, the speed, the skill,
Hmm.
it's so much more of a different level
Hmm.
from our counterparts, but that's another decision there. I mean, discussion there too, because we could really get in depth about that, but we don't have enough time. Reggie Jackson summed it up. Racism was the chief sponsor to prevent blacks from yeah. We wouldn't even, we wouldn't have record. You wouldn't know the record books right now as they stand if they let those guys play. It was Hank Aaron and those guys came late and they still set
And
records.
they still, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Well, because even the other day when Reggie was on, I forgot what he was on. He was on something, and just how emotional he was when he was talking about the racism and stuff that he
yeah.
went through, and people were just blown away because again, he took it like a champ. And I think the realest thing that he said was, I don't know if I can do that, go through that again. If knowing what I went through, I don't know if I would do it again.
My grandfather, my grandfather said to me a while ago, you would have not been able to handle that because of the makeup. And he knows me, and he was a World War II veteran,
Hmm.
and uh, and the things he went through, I used to talk to him, and we'd have discussions about that, and my attitude and my demeanor. He said, "Son, you wouldn't have stood a chance. So you should be glad you were born in 1975."
When you,
Yeah. So he said, and he tried to talk to me a lot about that type of thing, and I'm glad he did because it helped me along the way when I was coming up because it was still prevalent when I was playing, but it wasn't
Mhm.
as much. And I'm not by any means trying to compare my era with theirs because we had it so much easier
Right.
and I'm just honored to say that I played along some of the greatest black players that ever play. Darryl Strawberry. Everybody knows Derek Jeter.
Yes.
Gary Sheffield. I can go on and on, but in the '90s, I
Mhm.
played with some great players that were African American, and it was an honor to play with those guys.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. And then to see where they are now, and then you're like, oh my God. So what how do you feel when you see those guys and you're like, I played against him?
Well, we don't really see each other a lot now because everybody's older and they got
Well,
families and
that's what
stuff.
I'm saying. But when you see them like on TV right now, they're on a show, or
Oh,
they're featured on something, and you just happen to just be watching it or whatever. It has to make you feel some type of way, in a positive way,
I
um, that you were
when
good enough to play with these cats.
I when I see those guys, I just remember all them. I just have a lot of memories. I have a lot of memories of what we used to do. I have a lot of memories of the things we used to do outside of baseball when we were all together. Baseball, baseball is baseball. We were playing and we were competing and all that stuff, and I knew them. And it's hard. It's easy for me to talk about it because I and but I have a 15-year-old daughter, right?
Right?
And I didn't tell her anything about any of this. And
Yes.
one day she comes home and she tells me, "Dad, you somebody was talking to me about you and they said this and they said that." And I was like, "Yeah, well, who was it?" And she's like, "Well, they say they're your cousin and they know you and all that stuff." And I'm like, "Well, listen, don't believe anything anybody tells you. I'll sit down one day and we'll discuss it and we'll have a conversation about it." But yeah, she didn't know any of that. So now she's aware of it. She gets to go and look it up, and Google's a big thing now. And then her kids, her friends and stuff, they go and say, "Your dad did this and he was this and he played with these people." And she's like, "Well, I don't really know, but I can call him and I can ask him." And then she started Googling things and started finding out what was happening. But yeah, she's starting to understand that I played with some pretty good people. But it was that time and those experiences with those cats. It's a lifetime thing. It's and I keep in touch with a lot of them, and I even go to games in the summer. I call some of my guys still play and still coach in the league, and we go and we hang out and stuff like that. So it's everlasting. You build those relationships and those bonds, and they stay forever.
Gotcha. So, Mr. Brown said he grew up along with John T. Bone Shelby, who we also inducted the same time we inducted Coach Chandler.
Yeah.
He said they played at Douglas Park. He said that league no longer exists, but last week they just started that league back up. Correct?
Right. So let me. I have a story about. Well, not a story. I don't want to get into a big old story, but I was with T Bone last Saturday. We were out and we were having a discussion about the first time that I actually met him. I didn't meet him until I started playing professional baseball.
Okay.
My first game as a New York Yankee that was outside of spring training was against John T Bone Shelby. He was the coach. He was the coach of the Savannah Sand Gnats, which was an A-ball league. When you're really young and you're first starting to play, and you're not like a college graduate or anything, and you go up to
Right.
like double A, triple A. I was 18 years old, and I wasn't even supposed to be there. Some guy got traded, and I was up next as an 18-year-old, and I just graduated high school. I went to spring training for my first year, and I flew up on a plane with just some bags and had to go get an apartment and stuff. That's usually how it goes. But I got there. We were on the road and we were in Savannah, Georgia, and he was coaching the Savannah Sand Gnats. And that day he walked over to me. He said, "Come here, son. I know you. You're from Lexington, Kentucky. Your family is such and such and such and such. And I'm John T. Brochevin." And I'm just looking at him like, oh my God, I've known this man my whole life, but I didn't know him. And
Right.
my first introduction to
Right.
him is him walking up to me. And to go on in the story, that night we had a good night. He took me out to eat, and we talked about, the game and life and what to expect and the people around you and what it's all about. And that was a blessing because the first night that I that I went on that I had a game, he was the opposing coach, and he made it so much easier for me that weekend. And I thank him every time I see him. And
I love
that was
it.
a great experience. Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
love it. That's good stuff.
John T. Shelby is a great man. Also, he's
Oh
very
my
great.
God, yes, because of course he's on my list. He and Coach Chandler, are on my list. But I added you. I put you on here first. So I put you
I
before them
appreciate
two.
that.
Before I asked them, I asked you before I asked them about being on my podcast because of because of our relationship. But I love both of them to death. Like they are just good people. Just period.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, they
So
are. Yeah.
so Mr. Brown has another good question. He said the PED wrecked the Hall of Fame introduction of many great players. Are there any players that should be inducted that used the banned substance or got caught? Because let me tell you something. I just watched Butch Reynolds 30 for 30, where he was accused of taking a banned substance. And all the evidence showed that it wasn't true, but because of the governing body were biased, that's all I'm gonna say, was biased, they would not lift the ban on him to be able to do that. And so I can't imagine how many of our players maybe have had gotten caught up in that and they legit did not use a banned substance that knowingly or just know that they did not, because I know Butch said that he absolutely positively did not. And what happened was they found out when they did the research, they found out that um they used the the urine of a German female woman
Oh,
who
oh,
tested positive, and they never
oh.
reversed it. Like, and so I can't imagine if anything like that happened. I'm not going to assume anything like that probably happened in baseball, but I'm guaranteed it probably did.
Well, I'm not familiar with that, but I can tell you, I played in the '90s in baseball in the steroid era, and it's hard for me to say. I don't blame those guys because of the baseball. Baseball needed it, and I'm not saying it was right,
Right.
but I was in it, and I'm not going to say I should have done it, but I could have done it,
Right.
and I didn't. And some of those guys that did, they went on to prosper into bigger and better things, and they made a lot of money.
Gotcha.
And it was allowed until it wasn't allowed.
And the
And
reason why it wasn't allowed was because
oh, oh, oh.
it's
If
because
we could
why?
have done that, if they would allow that and let more players do that, we'd have wiped the game. It would have.
Yes,
It's so much bigger than what we can discuss right now because.
absolutely.
But I was around it. I saw them, and I'm gonna stop short of saying I wish I would have done it. I'm gonna stop short of saying that. But yeah, it wrecked. I'm not gonna say it wrecked baseball. I'm gonna say to my man, that was Alvin, right?
Yes, Mr. Brown. Yes.
Mr. Brown, and I'm not gonna say it wrecked baseball. It helped baseball at the time, but then they made some people some scapegoats, and and they haven't recovered
So
from
are
it.
there any
And I don't think
scapegoats
they.
that probably should be in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think they'll ever be in the Hall of Fame.
You don't think that
But
they'll ever be
it
in the
was a
Hall of Fame?
double-edged sword. No, I don't think they'll ever be in there. But they allowed it until they didn't allow it. Let me put it like that. And it made the game better at a point. But yeah, it was making
So
money worth forfeiting the Hall of Fame induction. I'm not a Hall of Fame player, Mr. Brown, so I can't tell you that. But those guys made a lot of money for their families. And but the issue I have with that, is they allowed it, and then they frowned upon it when they allowed it. That's a big deal. That was a big deal because
right,
it was
right.
everybody was like, "What? Wait a minute! Y'all wanted us to have more excitement in the game, and y'all allowed this for a second, and then you want to circle back and hurt us and our chances of making the Hall of Fame. It just wasn't right. It wasn't right. But
Gotcha.
I played along some people that shouldn't have. Now I look at it like this: I played along some people that shouldn't have been playing as long as they did because of steroids.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I see it on that
Yes.
level. I don't talk about Mark McGuire
Right.
and Barry Bonds and all
Yeah.
those guys. Those guys
Barry
were Hall of
Bonds.
Famers before they
Hmm.
started doing that. Yeah,
Right.
they were Hall of Famers before they started doing that. So you could it just furthered their careers. It made them
It
legends
just made that
actually.
it just prolonged their the longevity in their
Well, they
career.
were great. They were great. They were great anyway. They were going to be
Right.
Hall of Famers anyway. So it,
Anyway,
like you
yeah.
said, it prolonged their careers, and that stuff works. Let's get that understood. Let's get that
Yeah.
understood. There's some stuff that you could take that it actually I saw it and
Right.
and I was upset at a couple times where I
Oh,
saw
I'm
some guys
sure.
bypass me and I was like, he's cheating
Yeah.
and no one's going to say anything and he's going to get away with it and he's not as good as me,
Right.
right?
You're
So
right.
it's touch and go with me.
Oh,
I
that has to be hard. That has to be very difficult when you
it
do the
was.
right thing and you have integrity about yourself.
Well, we listen. We really didn't know because when I was coming up, I was young in this, so I would see it and I didn't know how to get it, and I didn't really see what they were doing, but you knew they were doing
Doing
something.
something. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it came at a very odd time for me because I was young, I was naive, and I was new to this, so I didn't really understand it, but you could see it. And I'm not going to sit here and change my thought on it. I'm
Right.
they took care of their families
Yeah.
forever by
Yeah.
using this. I
That
look at it
generational money ain't no joke.
I look at it at a totally different angle from some people.
Right. I get it. I get that. Okay, so let's go back. You said you had some great memories. Do you have one memory besides I guess you meeting uh um Coach Shelby? Is there any other like just a memorable um moment or that you hope you just always it just always just comes back to your mind that puts a smile on your face?
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with baseball. Me, myself, Derek Jeter, a friend of mine, uh, Garrett Butler, we called him G, Doc Gooden, and Gary Sheffield. We all went to a Roy Jones fight that was on HBO. You know the HBO fights
Yes.
back in the day when they had it on
Hmm.
HBO. He was fighting a guy down in Tampa, and he's from Pensacola, and that's one of my best memories. I got to sit with Derek and Doc Gooden and Daryl Strawberry and all these guys, and we were at a heavyweight fight, and I remember that. That's the one that sticks out a lot.
That's
I
it.
got a lot of memories, and so most of them I'm not going to say anything about, but because we were men and we were
Right.
out having a good time, and but that night right there, I remember that night, and that on the field stuff was on the field. That
Gotcha.
was totally different. But I had some times that we had like I had some really good times. Let's just keep it like that. Let's
Okay,
do
good
that.
stuff. So who
Yeah.
was the greatest player in your era that you played against or that you saw in person?
I played against some guys in the minor leagues that run circles around people. So that's a great question. That's a great question. I played against some guys that never made it, that you wouldn't know. No one would know. I
Okay.
played against some guys, but I would say Derek Jeter.
Okay.
Derek Jeter is probably the best baseball player to ever play. I believe because of what
That
he
that
went through in New York City and what he accomplished, and that was amazing to see him navigate through that and come out on the other side without a scratch. That was awesome to watch because that guy, I always say he was touched. He
Hmm.
could do no wrong. He was on the field, off the field. It was wild to see that happen and play alongside that. That was crazy. That
Gotcha.
was that was wild.
W- Well, we're 50 minutes in. I just knew we was going to just do a 30-minute interview and get off of here. But of course, it's you and
Yeah,
I. We've
yeah,
never got on the phone and it not last hours.
right, right.
So tell me, is there anything you've ever wanted to say publicly? And it doesn't have to be baseball related, just anything that is on your in your heart that you have wanted to say publicly and never have had the opportunity to say.
uh, there's plenty of things, but we'll keep it baseball. We'll keep it baseball.
Okay. Whatever,
For all
however you
you
want to go.
coaches, we'll keep it sports. For all you high school coaches that are making these kids to become, well, let me put it like this: you should allow these kids to play more than one sport.
Come on.
This
Okay.
thing about these kids, they're hindering these kids, and I play football, baseball, basketball, ran track, all that stuff. And if I didn't do that, there's no telling what I would, where I would be right now. When you take that away from kids, when you coaches take that away from kids because you've been selfish on your own part, that hurts the kids because you never know what a kid can become in a different sport than what they're playing. They're making these kids stop playing multiple sports, and I think it's hurting high school sports in the whole. I believe it's hurting them.
So Mr. Brown, we coached against each other in football. He was coaching at LTMS. They beat us. And
I beat you too. I
huh?
beat you too. Remember, I beat you too.
That's what I said. I said, and y'all
Oh,
beat
okay,
us.
yeah, yeah.
I said
Oh,
y'all
right,
beat
right,
us.
right, right, right.
I
Yeah.
said you beat us. And
that
so he
was
does.
that was directed. That was directed towards your husband. Yeah,
um hey, y'all were loaded that season.
yeah, yeah,
Y'all had a great team.
yeah.
Anyway, so but how come you didn't become a high school baseball coach?
Uh, I never really wanted to. I
Okay.
never really thought about it. I coach youth. I enjoyed that part of it,
Okay.
the learning part of it. And by the time they get to high school, and I know it's not that much older, but the time they get to high school, the kids aren't the same. And
Yeah.
if you want me to be truthful about it, I like, for instance, I coached middle school basketball and football, and it was just a lot. It's a lot.
It is a
I'm
lot.
not.
It,
It's a
it
lot,
it is a lot. It's a
and most
lot.
of it has nothing. Most of it has
No,
nothing to
nothing to
do
do
with
with
the
the kid.
sport.
Most of it is dealing with the freaking parents.
Oh man, but I did coach. I coached the youth, and I thought I put in my time, and I gave back, and we went and won a couple World Series titles as for the youth teams and stuff like that. So I did coach a little bit back in the day, but it's hard. It takes a special
It's
person. It takes a special person to coach kids and to tolerate some of the stuff that's going on right now because it's not the same as when I grew up. It's definitely not the same.
it,
And I have a beautiful 15-year-old, and she's been in sports for shit her entire life.
yeah.
She started playing softball, which she stopped. And I didn't have a problem with that. I didn't
I
push
was
her in
getting
that.
ready. That was my next question was how is
Yeah,
she not a softball?
she she had no interest. She played when she was little. We might have put her in it a little bit too early
Too
because
soon?
it's
Okay.
boring. And my child, she's a runner. She's all over the place, and it was boring to her. I could see it. She was out in the
Hmm.
outfield picking flowers and and all this stuff, and playing in the dirt, So, but I have a 15-year-old that's very athletic, and she's into everything. She plays volleyball, she runs track, she cheers, she plays, she does a lot of stuff. So I really don't have the time right now because I'm not going to miss that.
Oh,
I'm not going to miss that.
absolutely
And
not. Absolutely not. I mean, when
and
I
I
think
have
a
my
lot of people,
reasons.
yeah, I mean, even on my job, they wanted me to go up in management, and I said absolutely not. I said
Right,
absolutely not. I said because I can't go to second shift because I'm gonna miss something, and
right.
I'm not going to miss. And
Yeah, I hate it. I hate that I can't see practices for her. You
really,
know, it's a couple times I had to do some work, and I wasn't going to be in town and stuff,
hmm,
and I missed some games, and it hurts.
yeah,
It hurts because you want to protect your baby, and I know what goes on in these sports and stuff, and with our children, how they're treated, and I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to have to hear her come and say, "Dad, this happened to me,"
and
and
you
I
weren't
wasn't
there.
there. Yeah, that doesn't sit well with me. So I want to
Got
make sure that I'm with her and I see her through whatever she goes through. And it's not just sports; it's just in life. I just,
oh
I
yeah,
don't. I
absolutely,
want to be present and be there. So if I'm out and I know it might sound selfish, but if I'm out taking care of somebody else's child, I can't be taking care of mine. Does that make sense?
absolutely,
Right. So yeah, I don't want to be rude and say, the wrong thing, but I'd rather be watching my child.
right.
That's not bad, is it?
No, that's not bad at all. No, that's not bad at all.
Right,
Because
right.
when I met Cisco, he had an opportunity to take his dream job, and he said it would have changed our life financially. It would have changed. I mean, it would have changed a whole lot of things because he would have been able to get his dream job as a college football coach, and he turned it down because he did not want to miss Ty.
Yeah, yeah. It's real. It's real. And I'm not going to get into in depth about parenting and all that because
Right.
I do
That's
the best
definitely a different conversation because we could talk
I
about that
right
all day. I'm gonna write a book
I
about it.
right I do the best I can. I
Yes.
don't want to. I don't want to. Look at anybody else's situation and say
Right,
anything
because some parents
negative
can't
about
do it.
them.
So there are a lot of single moms out there that are grinding. They're working two or three jobs. They're doing what and they can't get off work or their schedule doesn't allow them to be able to be there for their kids because they have to be able to, they're doing the best that they can to provide. So I totally get it. But I do get frustrated about those kids when I'm taking them home and there's two cars sitting in the driveway and they're asking for a ride home.
See, that's the
I
problem. That's the problem we have.
that's when I I start feeling some type of way, definitely, and it's been very difficult for me not to say anything or how I've gone to bat for these kids, and then the parents want to go on social media and try to run me through the coals like I've done something wrong to their kids. And everybody knows I go hard for these kids. I go hard
Yes,
for just as hard for everybody else's kids that I go for mine, but I'm definitely gonna go
we
hard
see
for
you.
mine.
We see you too. Yeah, we
I'm
see you. Yeah, we see you.
I'm
But
definitely gonna go hard for my children. And so,
yeah,
I think I made a post not too long ago, and I said, you know, "A- don't ask my children to go get their mama because are you sure?
right,
Because you'll definitely see a different side of me that you
right.
don't see because I don't play about mine and my kids.
Yeah,
There's a story that I love even with Ty. Ty was at playing at Eastern Little League, and he was one of three in the whole league, and so they were the other team was intentionally walking him, which was understandable because he was teeing off on him. He was leading the league in home runs, and I get it. I understood that, and then they walk Ty, then the kid right behind him hits a home run, and then the kid right behind him hits a home run. They come back around in the lineup, Ty's up again, and they walk him. I said, wait a minute.
yeah, that's
He's
different.
not the only one hitting
That's
home
different.
runs.
Yeah, that's different.
He's
That's
not the
different.
only one hitting home runs. So
He's
why
the
does
only
my
one.
son have to get walked?
Hey, you know exactly what it is.
Hey, but guess what? He never got walked again after that.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
intentionally. They might have pitched around him so that it didn't look like he was getting intentionally walked, but they didn't just intentionally not let him
right.
bat at all. Yeah, that
They
didn't that
weren't.
didn't
They
happen.
weren't. They weren't being blatant about it.
Yeah, they weren't being blatant about it. But when they were being blatant about it, I definitely said something. And
Yeah.
of course, I'm pretty sure, I got called the angry black woman like we always do because we stood up and said something. But that's the stuff that we're not getting ready to tolerate any of that. So
Well,
I'm gonna wrap
at
this up.
least you were able to say something because my daughter, she won't allow me to say nothing. No, I can't say anything at a game. It's a problem. So and I'm loud too. So
Right.
we
I mean,
share
I
the
think
same
it was
barbers.
like you said.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think I at that particular time. I don't think I didn't ask for permission. I asked for
yeah,
forgiveness later on, and I just said something, and then I think it was a situation where, Cisco had to leave for something. He had a meeting or something, and so I was still there, kind of holding it down for the both of us. And when that happened, so yeah, I can't remember if I got in trouble or not from Cisco and Ty, but I know he didn't get walked again after that. That's all I know.
right.
You know.
Mr. Brown said we share the same barbers, and I believe you are better golfer than those guys. If I could get something real quick, I'm having somebody get something. Hey, Alvin, Mr. Brown, those guys are frauds, man. They're not real golfers. Man. The stories that you hear in there in that barbershop, man, those are fabricated. Those guys are tough. So they have some pictures and stuff, but I got a little something. I don't know if you can see this and how good that looks on there,
Yeah.
but that's a professional right there, Mr. Brown. That's a professional shot. That's at the Greensboro Open. See if those guys have ever been in that type of setting before, right there, because all that smack that they talk when they're at the barber shop. And
Listen,
I got
that's on my
I got
bucket
one
list.
more. I got one more. We were talking about that Negro League thing, right? It's a
Yes.
very big deal to me. Here's a
Yes.
picture of us when we were kids, when we were playing with the Yankees. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's when our Negro League day. We got to wear those uniforms.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's a big deal right there. And I keep that
That's
out
a
so I
big
can
deal.
show people. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's three of my great friends, man. We all played together in baseball, in pro baseball, in MLB, and I stay in touch with those guys. One of those guys is no longer with us. He had some health problems, and God rest his soul. Cody, I see that
He said,
was
was that Hooge there?
yeah. No, 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 no. That was me. That was me. You talking about that golfer right there? That was me. Nah, that wasn't
Okay.
Hooge.
So he said your mom grew up across the walkway from NFL great Frank Minifield.
Jesus, man. Yeah, yeah. Frank Minifield. A wise woman once told me it's better to be forgiveness than to ask for permission.
To ask for forgiveness and ask for permission. Yeah, because I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said I know it was you.
Uh,
He said I know it was you. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up. Is there anything that I should have asked you that you needed to answer and I haven't asked? Or anything else that I need to address while we're here live
mm,
before we wrap this
no,
up? Did we
no.
did we cover everything? We covered everything that
We covered everything we should have covered.
we should have covered.
We- there's a lot of things we didn't cover.
We
Yeah,
didn't
but
cover,
yeah,
but we're not
yeah,
getting ready to
yeah,
go
yeah.
there right now.
No, 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 no. That's for us. That's for us. We
Okay.
can't. Yeah, we can't be out here. Be out here wide open like that. That's yeah. We can discuss some things, but we'd probably lose friends and all type of stuff. So
Right. Right, right, right.
yeah. It was a blessing, and I was honored to be the guest tonight, and hopefully I can do that again. It'll be a better conversation next time.
Gotcha. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that people can see that if you go to laceoff.com and you can get your tickets to the gala, we're going to be honoring Rod. Rod is going to walk across the stage. We're going to honor him with some gifts, and he's going to be able to, you know, say a few words, and we're going to officially induct him into the Lexington African American Sports Hall of Fame in our class of 2024. Again, congratulations again. It's very well deserving. I'm so proud of you. It is an honor to know you. It is an honor to call you friend.
Thank you so much. You have a great evening. I had a wonderful time, and God bless you. And you keep doing the things that you do. It's very productive to the community, and I hope for the best for you and your family. And tell Coach I said hi. Tell him he can still call me, and but I know where he's mad at me because I keep talking about his knees and stuff. But tell him he can call
Well,
me.
he done got him fixed now, so he's
Yeah,
good.
I know, but I'm still make jokes because he used to be one of the best athletes I've ever seen. So I know it's rough for him, and tell him I love him, and y'all have a great evening.
Okay, so don't log off, but I am gonna end this in the live, okay? But don't log off.
Okay, got you.
Um Mr. Brown said great tribute, Rod. Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
I hope I
Appreciate it.
did you some I hope I did you justice.
Yeah, you did. It was great.
Okay. Well, I love you, and don't go nowhere. I'm just gonna end the live. Hey,
All
everybody,
right.
thank you. We'll see y'all next week. I got another good guest for you next week. Appreciate you. Make sure you share, and subscribe to the YouTube and to the Facebook group, and make sure that you share it. Thank y'all, and y'all have a good one. Good night.
I love you, Terry.